This program is brought to you in part by Cedar Ridge Paving and Milling, commercial and residential work. Yes, welcome to Racing Action Today talk series. And tonight we have with us a very special guest who's involved with building replica automobiles. And without any hesitation, John Jarvis, I
Yep.
want to welcome you here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
And
Great
you,
pleasure.
of course, you know all about ERA, Replica Automobile,
Yep.
which goes back a long way, doesn't it?
1981.
Yeah, a little history about that, huh?
Yeah, they were building, restoring Porsches, and then they got into doing one of the owners, Peter, bought a wrecked original Cobra, and they made a mold off of that, and they started selling them, and they're probably the best one in the country right now for a replica.
Well, I'll tell you what, whenever the conversation comes up about Cobras and replica cars, ERA is in the conversation without any doubt.
Yep.
And nationally.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. All over the country. They've been doing it so long that people, they call all day and hear our name and, we hear you got the best one and we want to, buy one. And, and it's a great product and a great company, and it's been around a long time.
Yeah. Now, if memory serves me correct, there was a time where they did some things with the international racing series there, when they had like the Camaros and stuff.
Yes, they were building.
They were making the spoilers and,
yes.
and the wheel flares,
yep.
right?
They're doing. In fact, they just not long ago they found the molds for those.
Yeah.
The rear spoiler mold, the front spoiler mold, and all four wheel flares.
Those cars today are highly sought after.
Yeah, it's big dollars.
For vintage racing.
Yes, very, yes.
Which I'm sure, do you get involved in vintage racing yourself?
Myself, no, I am a vintage racer myself. I raced back in the 80s and the 70s, but I still go to the races, and I know a lot of people in racing still, just for being around it so long.
Now, when it comes to ERA, they've grown over the years too. I'm sure.
Yep.
And they make more different versions of this car. Right?
Yes, they make what's called a slab side, so there's no flare on the wheel wells. That was the original one that Harold Shelby brought over. And he took the engine out and put actually the first ones were 260 V8s.
Yeah, the small V8.
And then they went to, most of them were 289s. Then they went from that to the FIA, which had the small flares. And then they went to the big block style, the 427. 428, 427. But actually, if you go back in the racing history, the 289 FIA was the one that won all the races.
And I know when I talk to people, they actually want, when it comes to buying a replica Cobra, that's what they're looking for. This FIA, right? The FIA car, right?
FIA,
which is kind of distinct, right?
But then there's a lot of people that want the big block for that big block sound and the side pipes.
Yeah.
Because the FIA never had the side pipes like the big block car.
No.
But now that we started doing the slab side, they're really getting into the buying those. There's a lot of slab sides we're doing.
Oh, really?
We're up to, I think total in all three cars, we're probably close to 1,500 total that we've done.
Now, let me ask you a question. When it comes to getting people, customers, is there a certain part of the country that is more predominant than anywhere else?
Not really. I mean, we got California, we got Utah, we have Arizona, Florida. There's a lot in Florida. A lot go to Canada.
Yep.
Some of the other countries like France it has to be a 20, I believe it's 20 years and older vehicle, or you can't import it. So they look for the early cars that were built like in the 80s and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're always calling, hey, you got any, were built like 81, you know, of any for sale, or 82?
Oh, wow.
And they ship those overseas. And there's a good market, I guess, that people buy them and ship them there and make some money on them.
Yeah, that's, vintage in general, racing or car collecting is big,
Yeah.
I mean, Cobras, they speak for themselves,
Yep. But
Who would ever thought?
Yeah, right. I mean, they were sitting on showrooms and stuff, and back in the 60s, they couldn't get rid of them,
I know.
Now they're worth millions.
I could remember, you're going to laugh, going to Williams Ford in West Hartford, and there was this funny color, I don't know if it was like greenish blue color, Cobra there for I don't know how long.
Yep.
It was like $6,000. I mean, back then.
That's a lot of money back then. But now it's, they're probably, if it's a big block, low miles, never been redone or anything, I mean, they're close to 2.5 million.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Even our cars, a big black car went recently, 135,000, I think.
You mean at auction?
Yeah, at auction. Yeah, it's like, wow, that's a lot of money,
It sure is. Now, when you're working there,
yep,
you kind of do some buying for them.
Yeah, I do most of the purchasing.
Yep.
I do some of the repair orders and stuff. I do like the payroll and stuff like that for the guys in the shop. We have, I think right now we have about 9 people in the shop.
Yeah.
And at one point, I think they were up over 20 people working there. But things just got, the economy. Right now, our toughest thing is getting the parts. I mean, something simple like a shift knob was on order for, I think, a year and 3 months before we got any.
You're kidding. You mean from
it's a
original equipment people?
Well, yeah, it looks original, but it's a 5-speed because we're running mostly 5 speeds in them now.
Yeah.
So it's got the extra 5th gear.
Oh, wow.
But it looks like an original shift knob, and they just, when are you going to make them? Well, I don't know. They wouldn't give us an answer. It took a year and like 3 months to get a shift knob.
Oh, my dear.
It's just stupid stuff like that that's easy, it's radiators we're having trouble getting, windshields, windshield glass, all that. It's just...
Is that right?
Since COVID, and they blame COVID for everything now. So
now, I got to ask you a question. Do you buy a lot of stuff from Ford or no?
No, not really. There's not much. The engines we use, our cars are pretty much all original, where some of these other companies are using those Coyote motors and stuff now.
Yeah.
But ours, and so we'll take a block from the 60s and send it out to a machine shop, and they machine it, put all new pistons, rods, everything's brand new. And then, so that's basically the only Ford piece I believe we use.
So it's a regular 289.
289.
Or 302. Or
302. Even some people go for 351.
Yeah.
And then in the big blocks, we use 427s, 428s. That's really about the only one. So it's hard to find the older block sometimes. 390s too looks the same as a 427.
Yeah.
Nobody can tell the difference. So you can just put 427 valve covers.
Let me tell you won't find many side oilers hanging around, right?
No, and they're getting out of sight money for those.
Oh my God,
They're
can't
probably
believe it.
Just a complete side oiler 427 is probably 35,000 now.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then the camera motors, remember the camera motors used to run in the NASCAR and stuff?
That's right.
One just sold that was low miles or something, and that went for 115,000, I think. Just the engine, nothing else.
Oh wow! I mean, when I think back in the day, the Boss 302s, we could have got them anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, today they're so sought after.
Yep.
It's beyond belief.
And Boss 429 Mustangs.
yes.
They're like crazy money.
Yeah, I have to tell you, kind of a funny story about when I was growing up. You know, I was just getting ready to get out of high school. I wanted a new Mustang, but I wanted a Shelby.
Okay.
So I come up with the bright idea. I'm going to drag my father to Providence, wherever you
Tasca.
Yeah, Tasca.
Yeah, Tasca, yep.
So we get there, and the salesman takes us he's going to take you for a ride, right? I got to get in the back. There wasn't even a back seat. It was just...
yeah, the little hump. Yep.
My father's in the front. The guy scares the shit out of everybody. My father turns around, looks at me. You will never, ever buy this car. Oh, my dear.
Yep. Those, the early Shelby, the white ones there, the fastback with the blue stripes.
Yeah.
Those were fast cars.
Oh, they were nice cars.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
I think Wayne Careen's got a real low mileage one. I'll tell you. Oh, my dear.
Yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah, that's a really nice car.
Yeah, nice car. Now, when you were growing up, John, did you like Fords or Chevys, or what did you like?
Well, actually, I worked at, I don't know if you remember Lippman Motors in Hartford.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I worked there like 10 years, and my father was service manager there for almost 40 years. So I grew up with the Ramblers and American Motors. So I had, in high school, I had a AMX, so I drove the heck out of that.
When you look back, the history there went on in Trans Am.
Yeah.
I mean, Javelins.
Yeah.
And
Roger Penske with Mark Donahue.
That was a big deal.
Yeah.
You know,
because he was running Camaros, and then he went over to the Javelins.
Yeah.
And then they started running NASCAR.
That's right.
They had Mark Donahue driving, and then they had Bobby Allison driving.
They were using, I don't know what the hell it was, a Matador or something.
Matador,
I don't know what.
They came out with that two-door Matador.
Yeah.
With the hood like from here to Hartford.
So it was kind of interesting. But so when growing up, that's what you had basically was the AMX.
Yeah, AMX. And when I was working there, the Pacer came out. Remember the Pacer came out? And they had the, what else did they have back then? They had a lot they had the Hornet, SC360 Hornet with the big engine. And they had the Scrambler, the Rambler Scrambler. It was red, white, and blue.
That red, white, and blue car.
Yeah, and the Rebel Machine.
They're sought after today, you would not believe.
Yeah, they're getting crazy money for those cars, too.
Now, I gotta tell you something else. ERA, at one point, they were doing stuff for Paul Newman.
Yes.
And Bob Sharp.
Yes.
Am I thinking right?
Yep. They were doing the Datsun 510. They were doing flares and spoilers.
And the 240Z.
I think they were kind of getting out of it then with them.
Was that right?
But they did some, but not till, then I think after Newman, they were down at the Chassis Dynamics there.
Yeah.
They were all in that same building. And I think they started doing all the bodies and stuff.
Oh, they started doing, okay.
So ERA didn't do as much, but ERA actually... Era was going to be, originally when they started, they were going to do a replica of like every era, like 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s.
Oh, is that how it started?
They were going to do a Cobra, then they were going to do like a Mustang body and I don't know what they were going to do, maybe a T-Bird from the 50s.
Oh, my dear.
That's how they came up with ERA era.
I often wondered about that.
Yep, that's how they came up
where
with
that came from.
Yep, because they were going to do one from...
But now it makes sense.
Yeah, era. They were going to do... I don't know if they're going to go back to the 40s, but they're going to, I think, a T-Bird, Cobra, Mustang, and then, I don't know, they just did the Cobra, and that was that.
Yeah, well, it was really interesting how the company started with the Porsche... that little Porsche Speedster.
Yeah, they were doing
in those cars, I guess they used to rot out completely.
Yep.
Right? The whole floor used to just rot right out.
So they would rebuild them, in metal, not in fiberglass.
Yes.
They'd do them in metal. But then Peter Portante, he got a wrecked original Cobra, and they repaired it in shop. And Phil Gaudet, that was one of the owners, and he says, gee, he says we could probably build these out of fiberglass, pull a mold off it, and make them. And that's how it all started. They started doing them, and then it just took off.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't easy in the early years.
No. But they were. I remember it was so popular back at one point where people would sell their spot in line to other people.
Yes.
So they could move up in, like 5 spots or something.
I remember having a conversation. This no lie, with Peter.
Yep.
The banks would not give him money.
No.
For capital.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Right, to build up the business.
They say, Larry, they won't give me any money.
Yep.
And I got to give him a lot of credit. He just hung in and made it work.
Still does it. He's in his early 80s now, and he's still plugging along. He's there every day, Saturdays, Sundays. You go by there anytime, just about, and he's there.
He's there.
Yep.
Well, the other thing I wanted to tell you, which you'll find kind of funny, when I was in high school, they had a yard full of Austin Healey's, 3000s, 6 cylinders.
Yeah.
I was in love with that car.
Yeah.
I wanted one of them cars, but Peter's partner there, he would not sell none of them.
Wouldn't park.
And he had a rare one.
Yep.
That had what they call a Daytona hood.
Okay.
It had like a louvered hood. It was a very rare car.
Oh wow.
He would not
park.
get rid of them. So I don't really know to this day what happened to all
of those. I don't know. I don't remember. That was before my time, I think. I've been there a while, but not that. I think got to be close to 20 years I've been there.
Yeah.
But
oh, it's before that.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
It had to be long before that. But
I was in high school.
Oh, okay.
And I was in love with that car, though. That little Austin Healey there.
Peter, I think he raced in Austin Healey for a while in SCCA.
I think you're right. Yes, he did. That's why he had all the cars.
And I remember he told me he moved out to like Minnesota or something, and it was really cold. So something happened to the engine at the racetrack. So he took the engine out at the track, brought it home, and put it on his kitchen table and rebuilt it.
Oh, right there.
That was long before he was married or anything,
That, was so different back then.
Yeah. People, thought nothing of, putting it on your kitchen table and rebuilding it. Nowadays, a kitchen table costs what that car used to cost.
Recently, about 2 years ago, I bought an old Honda 350 motorcycle with the intention of converting it to a road racer, vintage. They have vintage races.
Yeah.
And I knew nothing about this sport at all. And luckily, I find this guy on Facebook, of all things, because I kept asking the questions, and this guy says, "Hey, where do you live?"
I'll just come down. Yeah,
I live in Connecticut too.
Oh, there you go.
So I got to be good friends with him, But he was just like that. Take the motor out. We'll put it right on the kitchen table. My wife would go crazy.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, you ain't doing that in my house.
Oh my dear.
But yeah, they've been still plugging along. Like I said, for a long time they've been.
Yeah.
It's not as busy. We probably do 5 to 10 a year, where we used to do over 20. I think the most they ever did was probably in the 30s.
Now, did he ever get involved with building one to vintage race for somebody?
Not that. They did do they were going to do a Corvette Grand Sport.
That's right.
And they built one of those to go vintage racing. But then Chevrolet heard about it and put the kibosh on it. And they ended up selling all the moles.
I remember.
Yeah.
The car was going to be beautiful, I'll tell you.
They built a coupe and they built a roadster.
Yeah.
It had the air jacks and everything.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
It was beautiful.
So I never knew that Chevy,
Yeah,
General
Chevy.
Motors put the
Well,
kibosh on that.
Yeah, Shelby used to do that too. They'd sue. Shelby would sue everybody because of the
Replica.
right, and that what I think what they said actually happened in the end was Ford sued Shelby for the use of the Ford's names and stuff in Cobra,
Okay.
and so that stopped that lawsuit, which in turn stopped him suing everybody else.
Oh, my dear.
So, but Chevy didn't. They didn't back down at all.
No.
And everybody doing Grand Sport replicas was done.
They were beautiful cars,
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
They were really cool.
Every now and then I run across an original one at Lime Rock. you know,
Oh, okay, yep.
And oh my God, they are just gorgeous cars. It's really a shame because it would have been a perfect project.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it would have. I'm sure it would have worked good for them.
Yeah.
Well-
It had a lot of interest in it. And I don't know what happened to that project. I think it's just kind of gone now. I don't know who's doing it.
Yeah, I don't. You know, there was another car too that became famous from Miami Vice. I forgot the name of it.
Oh, that Ferrari replica they did?
Yeah.
Yep. I think, was that on a Corvette chassis maybe?
I think so. Yes.
But it looked like a Ferrari. I forgot about
A
model.
Dino, right? Or
Was it a
not
Dino
Dino,
or a
Daytona.
Daytona, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, you're right.
They were, you know, that was another.
Yeah, that got it real popular. Then you had like the Myers Manx,
Yes.
you know, the little Volkswagen. Somebody's redoing that now too. I heard that.
You know who's big into them is Jimmy Pryor.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of them.
I would never believe that he would
Yeah,
get involved with it, but he is.
Yeah, I saw him and I think it's his girlfriend right now.
Yeah, I don't know if they're
Wife.
married or
Maybe
not.
Maybe it's his wife, but they were coming back from the beach with. She has one and he has one, and he's got a bunch of parts and stuff too.
Yeah.
They're pretty cool.
You know, speaking of Jimmy, he was a hell of a fabricator, I'll tell you.
Yes.
Now, he worked for Peter at one point,
Yes.
I believe, right?
Yes. He worked at ERA. Yep. And Robbie Little, that worked on Pryor's race cars, worked at ERA for a long time.
Yeah. Because I know up until, you know, they closed the shop,
Yep.
but up until then, Jimmy was still making parts for Peter.
Yes.
Something to do with the front spindles.
Spindles. Yeah.
Right?
Yes. They were. We'd buy the where the bearings ride and stuff, and Jimmy would make the rest, or he'd take the original early ones. They were taking. I think they were Impala spindles, and they were welding brackets and stuff to the Impala spindle. And then later on, they started doing fabricating the whole thing. Now we have. You remember Bob Seneca used to race ASA years ago?
Yes, I do.
He does them for us. He's he's in his 80s
Where the
too.
hell is he? Where? He's in the Midwest, ain't he?
Yeah, way out there, Wisconsin or
Good
something.
racer.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Good fabricator. He does a heck of a job on these
No
spindles.
kidding. Oh wow.
He's 80 something, 89 or 85, or he's up there too.
You're
and,
kidding. Oh
and he
my
still
dear.
plugs away on him. Yep, Bob, I think it was number 88, if I remember Seneca.
88 or 84. I can't
84, yes.
84,
yes,
right?
84, yes. It was blue and orange numbers.
How the hell would I ever remember
Yeah,
that?
84. You're right, 84.
Yeah.
88, I think, was Dick Trickle. Was 88, right?
Yeah. And I remember, what's his name? The kid races today. His father too was right in the middle of it. Kozlowski.
Yep.
Remember the father?
The father, yeah. Yep.
Raced in that group.
Yes. And Rusty Wallace and Mark Martin.
Mark Martin. Oh yeah.
A bunch of guys. Yep. Mark Martin went NASCAR, and he couldn't cut it and went back to ASA for a while, and then got a ride with Jack Roush.
Well, once you get with the right team, you know.
Yep.
Things happen.
You got to have the right crew, the right crew chief, the right owner, the right car. Everything just got to mesh. Because you could take the best driver and put him in a lousy car, and and you could vice versa. You could put a great, a lousy driver in a great car, and if it don't mesh, it don't mesh.
Yeah, you're right. It's a very strange thing, really. Well, I'm going to tell you, John, when you're having fun, time flies.
Okay.
And we're going to have to call it a day for today's show, and to get you back to do another show.
Yep.
And I can't believe what has gone on here in the past 25 years,
Yeah.
I'm getting old too,
Yeah, we're all getting old.
You know what? I still love the cars.
Yeah. Cool.
And Cobras. I'm going to have to get over and see Peter.
Yeah, you got to get over there. I mean,
The only problem, I end up going to lunch and start eating hot peppers, right?
hot peppers at Portofino's or George's or Pagliacci's or one of them, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thanks for having me.
John.
Thank you.
Thumbs up all the way. I want to thank everybody for watching, and to tune in again next week to Racing Action Today. Thank you. This program is brought to you in part by Just Results Weight Loss Center in Berlin, Connecticut.
Sometimes life just happens. Don't worry. Farmington Motorsports will get you back on the road and at a fair price. From towing to tires, emissions to transmissions.
Our ASC certified techs do it all.
Farmington Motorsports is a family-run business. We're a Napa Auto Center and AAA approved. We work on all makes and models from preventative maintenance to major repairs.
And every repair is backed by our 2-year, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty.
When life happens to you, don't worry. Farmington Motorsports.